year, where it's all about moving more people on public transport. It helps save people time, it's far more affordable, and the other point, of course, is it reduces congestion on our roads, in particular making sure for every person we can get on public transport, we're basically reducing congestion on our roads, which benefits the entire community. So some very good and pleasing results, and we'll continue to work hard to drive that public transport patronage up. As I said, we do believe it is a great way to move around the suburbs, saves people money, and also reduces congestion across our roads. Another big initiative we're announcing is our continued reforms to support safety and security across our public transport network. What we've seen, of course, as part of the rollout of the new stations in particular, is an incredible growth in CCTVs across the network, with currently 8,600 CCTV cameras at train, bus and ferry facilities. So again, currently we have more than 8,600 CCTV cameras at train, bus and ferry facilities, and they're monitored by the PTA Central Monitoring Room. We have 447 transit officers across our network, and that's an increase of over 100 over the past 2 years. We've got 43 mobile patrol vehicles, and of course we're also bringing in 2 extra new Delta vehicles, which will add to the existing 43 vehicles. Those Delta vehicles will have up-to-date technology, which again will help support the deployment of our security and our transit officers across the network. Another key feature we're announcing today is a new security feature which will give passengers who are logged onto the app the ability to report security incidents in real time. So this gives passengers the ability to report to the central monitoring unit live issues that may be occurring across the train, ferry or bus system. This is helping passengers to report incidents. It also helps us direct the hundreds of transit officers that we have, and also our bus security, to make sure they can deal with incidents in real time. So logging onto the app, you're able to report if there's an issue or an incident either on the stations or on the bus, ferries or trains. As I said, it'll be reported straight to the Central Monitoring Room, who will then be able to direct our transit officers and security to address the incident that's unfolding. As I said, this is a new initiative and one that will give passengers more peace of mind, but also, as I said, we have hundreds of transit officers out there on any given day. We have bus security. What we need to do is make sure that we're deploying them to where the incident is occurring and making sure that we continue to support safety across the network. We are also rolling out body-worn cameras for transit officers too, and that again is also about making sure we can improve safety, but also that if there is an incident, that we have very clear evidence to support the prosecution in relation to those cases. So a whole range of new initiatives to support safety and usage of public transport across the network. We've invested a lot into our public transport system. We want to encourage more and more people to catch it. So whether it be the new infrastructure, affordability, but also security, a whole range of initiatives that will help support more people catching our public transport. Any questions?
Has anything?
Bus drivers, you see sometimes the reports that bus drivers are there trying to make sure that they can move people from point A to B, and sometimes there may be incidents occurring which they're sometimes not equipped to be able to handle at that point in time. They do have their own duress buttons as well, but sometimes they don't see what's happening, and it's about making sure that we can have these reports as soon as possible and then deploy the services. You've all seen them. You've all seen the security cars that sometimes follow buses on the streets. It's making sure we can deploy our resources to where they're needed as quick as possible.
What are those incidents? Is it when you say for bus drivers, is it them kind of getting abused or spattered or stuff, or is it more incidents behind them?
It may
on
be
the
incidents
bus?
behind them more. Like I said, bus drivers already have their own alarm button, but there may be incidents that are happening between passengers, and this will allow passengers to report that immediately.
How many of the PTA officers will be equipped with those body-worn cameras?
All of them over time, so all of the transit officers will have the body-worn cameras. It's similar to what police have, and what it does, again, it helps with gathering evidence, but also if people know that they're going to be watched, they may be reducing any antisocial behaviour they may be wanting to participate in.
Will that system of body-worn cameras be, would you say, be similar to the police, or be identical to the police, where senior officers can monitor, or the control rooms can monitor what's going on in real time?
Yes.
Do you have a total cost of all these extra initiatives?
I don't have that with me. In relation to the body-worn cameras, that's something that was funded about 2 years ago, but I can get those final costs.
Is that a trial, or are you doing a trial at the moment, or is that happening now?
That's happening.
So they're rolling it out?
Yes,
How long
yes.
will it take you to roll it out?
I'll get.
It's October.
Oh.
Late October.
Sorry. I'll
I
say
think
that.
they'd rather be equipped by October.
Yes, they'll all be equipped by October.
So just to confirm, this isn't being done in response to issues or an increase in issues. It's
No, this is just using, as I said, we have a number of transit officers and of course bus security. One of the issues is more about making sure we can support bus drivers in doing their job, and working with the bus drivers in particular, where we have maybe incidents on buses that they're not aware of, or they can't respond to because they're driving the bus. So it's trying to make sure we can support bus drivers doing their job. And this is about using the technology that we have to support safety across the network.
and so with those body-worn cameras, are they on all the time or just on when an incident?
As I understand,
Just when we respond to incidents, yeah.
On other ones,
so
the e-scooters, will that be top of the agenda with the Transport Minister meeting?
yeah, obviously every state's facing the same dilemma where e-scooters were seen as a great form of transport, but of course what we've seen is non-compliance, the importation of a whole range of scooters that aren't even allowed to be used on our roads. So as a result, it is an issue that all states are interested in. There's a couple of key elements. There's the national consistency of rules, but primarily also the importation of e-scooters and what we can do to control what's being imported. And of course then there's also what can be done at the shops. But in relation to importation, it's very clear. We have clear importation rules for vehicles, safety standards and so forth. So we'll be looking at how we can get some work done as soon as possible in relation to restricting the sort of current importation of e-scooters, which go much faster than are allowed to be used on our streets and footpaths.
Will there be a federal representative there? And if so, will you tell them that they need to, do they need to up their game in terms of cracking down on this?
It's a meeting. Sorry, yes, it's a meeting between the federal transport minister and all the state transport ministers. What happens with these issues come along is normally there's a body of work done, and then there's decisions made. We're very keen to participate and lead that discussion. We have a national body that will probably do the research, but we'll try and do that as soon as possible because those importation rules are federal rules, and of course we also want them to be nationally consistent. So that's the work that will be done.
Given that, then, does the federal government need to up its game in terms of regulating that?
Oh well, we want to get that done. Yes, we want to get new rules in relation to importation. So we want that work to be done as soon as possible, so then we can make those decisions. But they need to be done by the federal level, and they need to be nationally consistent, of course.
So WA wouldn't be able to do it alone. It depends on national consensus.
Well, it's more that importation is a federal law, so as a result of what can be restricted to be coming into the state or the nation, so those rules need to be national rules. And as I said, in relation to vehicles, that's done in relation to safety ratings, and you see sometimes some cars not allowed to come into the nation because they don't meet certain safety standards. So we need those types of standards to be established for e-scooters and e-ridables.
It's not just the importation though. I mean, once it lands in the country, people are able to modify and change things as well. What are we going to see
Absolutely. That's what the Parliamentary Committee is also looking at, and that's why we're already a step ahead in a sense by establishing that Parliamentary Committee. They'll be looking at all those aspects. And look, every state's going through it in relation to how they're regulating the rentals versus those that are owned, what's happening in the retail stores. We're all facing it, so I think all of us working together as soon as possible, also with the information through the Parliamentary Committee, means that we can act and make sensible policy decisions. As I said, those that are abiding by the rules, like always, they're using those e-rideables to move from point A to B, and they're doing a good job. But of course, whenever we have these types of new transport or new vehicles, then some people abuse it. We've got to try and stop that abuse.
Is there a $1 billion price tag or $1 billion blowout on the convention centre?
Look, that issue is currently before government, so I'm not going to go into that. But we've been working really hard. We all want to see a new convention centre, but we have to go through the process and make sure we understand the cost for the state.
But there has been a cost blowout then. I guess we wouldn't be reviewing it if it wasn't, if there weren't issues.
Again, that's a live discussion and consideration before government.
Well, I mean, I know you have a reluctance to talk about it today, but the opposition will be talking about it, and the point they're making is you're spending all this money on the racetrack for 1 day a year, and that money could be better spent.
Well, that's not technically correct in relation to that expenditure on the entertainment precinct. It'll be being used 365 days a year in relation to the entertainment precinct. In relation to the convention, I hope he's okay. You okay? In relation to the convention and convention centre and exhibition centre, of course, we want to see a new convention and exhibition centre, but we're working through the costs and making sure it can be delivered. So that's what we're working through to make sure it can be delivered and the cost, but there'll be final decisions for government.
But here's the thing. I mean, now there's talk from Queensland saying that they'll start, and I'm sure other states will be into it as well, start pinching those conventions while you prevaricate.
Oh, well, we need to make sure we get the best value for money for the state. We need to make sure that we can deliver according to those timeframes. We need to go and make sure that this project can be delivered as we wanted. So we're going through all those processes. Now, it is a big project. It is a very, very big project, and that's why we need to go through all the assessment before we make a final decision.
So, I mean, do you have concerns, or are you unconcerned about other states pinching conventions that may have gone to the convention centre in Perth?
Oh, look, when it relates to everything we do in WA, we constantly make sure we strive to get the best events and across the state, and we've done a very, very good job. We'll continue to do that, but it's just a matter of making sure it all stacks up for the state. We need to make sure it stacks up for taxpayers, and in relation to deliverability, that it can be delivered. So they're the things that we need to assess, and we'll continue to assess that. I note the opposition didn't make a commitment to it at the election, so obviously they weren't that serious about it either.
What's the government's limit? I mean, how much is too much, or how much are you willing to spend on it?
Oh, well, it's all about affordability and deliverability and making sure we get the best value for taxpayers, and that's what we'll work on.
The firearms incidents in Cannington at the smoke shop, is there concern that this could be related to the illegal sale of tobacco and starting to see some behaviour that we've been seeing over East?
Well, I think the police will be going out today to talk more about this incident, but this is a deeply, deeply concerning incident that's happened in our suburbs. We do not want to see what's been happening in other states and Melbourne in relation to these types of issues. So this is a deeply concerning incident. The police will be fully investigating, and of course it's also one of the reasons why we want to remove as many guns off the streets as possible. This is not what we want to see in our suburbs of Western Australia. We do not want to see these types of incidents, and so the police will be throwing a lot of resources to make sure it can investigate and find out what's happened.
On the illegal sale of tobacco, it does seem to be booming. There are still a lot of smoke shops in Perth that sell this black market tobacco and vapes. Is the government looking at trying to do anything to prevent that?
I think, well, yes, we want to stamp, of course, we want to stamp out all illegal behaviour. That's something I'll get the police to come back to you this afternoon when they go out.
And just on that as well, the ABC has been investigating ATMs that are put into these shops that are then used to help launder money. Is the WA government aware of any of that happening in the state?
I'm not personally aware of that, but again, it's something that I will raise with the police minister to make sure that the police itself are investigating that as well.
CCI says that a business cannot afford the 2 extra public holidays, massive blowout in wages for people. Easy answer to that, isn't it? Don't open.
Potentially, but look, in relation to the trading hours and the public holidays, it is something that's currently under live consideration, and of course there's been consultation. So we welcome the input from business. We welcome the input we've had from business and from the community. So there'll be further consideration and decisions made, and we'll be balancing the claims by the CCI in relation to extra costs, and also about how we can standardise those public holidays across the nation, and also understand that we currently do have less public holidays or fewer public holidays than the other states. So we'll be balancing all of those issues, and we'll be making further decisions. So we understand the CCI's point of view, but as I said, it'll be put in the mix of all the other considerations that are out there.
But, I mean, if all these places decide they're not going to open, what do people do? Is it going to be a boring public holiday with people sitting home watching Netflix?
I think already businesses make decisions based on their own circumstance and their predictions in relation to clientele on a particular day. There are those that probably rely more on a sort of work trade, or people going to work trade, and others that more rely on general trade. So they all make their own decisions currently, and I suspect if we were to move to more public holidays, they will make their own decisions as well. So we'll work with the CCI and across industry and the community. As I said, I think this review was much needed, and in particular about trying to align our public holidays with other states. I do think that's a big benefit to business. We do have fewer public holidays than other states, but as I said, this is something that will now, as a result of all the consultation, be carefully considered and worked through before any final decisions made.
It's not just CCI, it's also the Hotels Association, the Tourism Council as well. Like, rarely have we probably seen industry combine over the last 4 years to criticise the government. Does that kind of give you any pause for thoughts?
Oh, well, it's what consultation is about. It's getting feedback and input. So I suppose I expected probably a bit more support in relation to the alignment with the other states. So I think that's a good thing. But as I said, we'll get all the feedback from those industries and see how we can mitigate those impacts, or in relation to the final decision, make sure that we can get that balance right between business and also community.
Just back on the convention centre, I understand you encouraged Rio Tinto to move its headquarters into the new PCEC. Did you lock that in prematurely?
We've been working really hard to make sure that we could get a new convention and exhibition centre. I'll say that very clearly. So we've thrown a lot of resources of government to make sure we can get a model that will deliver to the whole community. We're very, very keen to see a redeveloped convention and exhibition centre. So we've been working through that, and that consideration is now before government. As I said, in any final investment decision, you have to balance the cost versus the benefits, also the timing of that delivery and how it could be delivered. So we're working through all of those. We've been very, very big supporters of upgrading that centre, and that's our aspiration. But like everything, we need to go through all the aspects that are before us, and that's what's happening at the moment.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
So what we might do quickly was have a look at the new Delta vehicle with the Transit, so get some shots of that.